Admiral Zixthara's 6 eyes narrowed as she studied the tactical display aboard the flagship Dominion's Edge. The massive holographic projection showed the human home system in stark detail, their blue-green world hanging vulnerable in space, defended by nothing more than orbital platforms and a handful of patrol ships. After 3 cycles of preparation, the hegemony's greatest armada had finally arrived at humanity's doorstep. "Status report," she commanded, her chitinous claws clicking against the command throne. 2,000 vessels holding formation at the system's edge, Admiral," reported her tactical officer, a reptilian Vorthak whose scales gleamed under the bridge's crimson lighting. "Long-range scans confirm minimal defensive presence. The humans appear unprepared." Zixthara's mandibles clicked in satisfaction. The Terran Federation had been a thorn in the hegemony's side for far too long. Their rapid expansion, their refusal to submit to proper authority, their infuriating habit of turning every minor species they encountered into allies rather than subjects. It all ended today. The Armada represented the combined might of 17 member species, each contributing their most advanced warships to this final solution. "Communications incoming from Earth," announced the comm officer. "Put it through." The holographic display shifted, revealing the weathered face of a human male in a simple blue uniform. Admiral Zixthara had expected to see fear, perhaps desperation. Instead, she saw something far more unsettling: calm determination. "I am Admiral Chen of the Terran Federation Navy," the human said. "You are trespassing in sovereign space. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences." A ripple of what the humans might call laughter passed through the bridge crew. Zixthara leaned forward, her predatory grin revealing rows of razor-sharp teeth. "I am Admiral Zixthara of the Hegemony First Fleet. You face 2,000 warships, human. Your pathetic defenses cannot stand against our might. Surrender now, and your species will be granted the privilege of serving the Hegemony as a client race." Admiral Chen's expression didn't change. "I'm afraid that's not acceptable. We're sending our response now." The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. Through the viewport, Zixthara could see the distant gleam of human orbital installations, still laughably inadequate against her fleet's overwhelming firepower. "Admiral," the sensor operator's voice carried a note of confusion. "I'm detecting a single ship departing from Earth orbit, bearing directly for our position." "One ship?" Zixthara's laugh was a harsh, grating sound. "They send one ship against 2,000? These humans are even more foolish than our intelligence suggested." "Shall we deploy fighters to intercept?" asked the tactical officer. "No, let it approach. I want to see what desperate gambit these primitives have conceived." As the lone human vessel drew closer, its details became clearer on the tactical display. It was unlike any Terran ship in their databases, sleek where human vessels were typically utilitarian, somehow elegant despite its clearly military design. Strange energy readings emanated from its hull, patterns the Hegemony's sensors couldn't quite categorize. "Identification confirmed," reported the sensor operator, his voice now tinged with uncertainty. "Vessel designation UFS Prometheus. No match in our tactical databases." "Of course not," Zixthara sneered. "Humans are constantly building new toys. What threat could one experimental ship pose to—" Alarms began shrieking across the bridge as every sensor array suddenly went active. The tactical display erupted with warning symbols as the human ship, still millions of kilometers away, somehow began affecting their systems. "Admiral." The sensor operator's voice cracked with panic. "I'm reading massive gravitic distortions around the human vessel. They're manipulating space-time itself." "Impossible," Zixthara snarled, but her confidence wavered as she watched the impossible readings cascade across her screens. The Prometheus didn't accelerate in any conventional sense. Instead, space around it began to compress and expand in carefully controlled waves. The ship rode these gravitational currents like a surfer on an ocean of warped reality, covering impossible distances in heartbeats while somehow remaining completely stationary relative to its own reference frame. "They've mastered Alcubierre drive technology," breathed the science officer, a crystalline being whose entire form had gone dim with shock. "But the energy requirements, it should be impossible for a ship that size to generate such effects." "Time to intercept?" Zixthara demanded. "At current rate of approach, 14 minutes. All ships prepare for combat. Ready primary weapons and— Admiral, the COMAM officer interrupted. We're receiving a transmission from the human vessel. It's being broadcast on every frequency simultaneously, somehow bypassing our encryption. Show me. Admiral Chen's face appeared again, but now the calm determination had been replaced by something that made Zixthara's exoskeleton crawl with primitive dread. Pity. Admiral Zixthara, Chen said, I need you to understand something about humanity. We've spent the last century not just expanding our territory or building bigger guns. We've been asking different questions than the rest of the galaxy. While your species perfected the art of conquest, we perfected the art of impossible solutions. On the tactical display, the Prometheus had somehow shortened its journey by another several million kilometers in the space of a sentence. The ship approaching your fleet represents something your military strategists never considered. Not superior firepower, but superior understanding. We learned to reshape reality itself. Every human vessel now carries technology that your greatest scientists would dismiss as fantasy. The gravitic readings around the human ship were intensifying. Space itself seemed to be responding to the vessel's presence, bending in ways that violated everything the hegemony thought they knew about physics. But here's what you really need to understand. Chen continued, his voice carrying across 2,000 warships simultaneously. The Prometheus isn't our most advanced ship. It's not our most powerful weapon. It's simply our way of saying hello. Zixthara felt her grip on reality slipping as she watched the tactical display. The human ship had somehow positioned itself at the exact gravitational center of her fleet formation, a mathematical impossibility that it had achieved in less than 10 minutes. You see, Admiral, Chen's voice carried a weight that seemed to press against the very fabric of space. When humanity says, face the consequences, we don't mean we'll fight you. We mean we'll show you what you never learned to imagine. The Prometheus pulsed once with brilliant light, and suddenly, every weapon system in the hegemony fleet simply stopped working. Not damaged, not destroyed, merely convinced by the fundamental forces of reality that they had never existed in the first place. Withdraw from human space, Chen said simply. Don't make us send a second ship. In the stunned silence that followed, Admiral Zixthara realized that the age of conventional warfare was over. Humanity hadn't just sent one ship. They had sent a message written in the language of impossible physics. The hegemony fleet turned and fled into the darkness, leaving behind only the echo of their own inadequacy and the distant gleam of a single human vessel that had rewritten the rules of reality itself.